The girl's trip turned out to be me being cheated on. Her friend let me know about it, but she denies it all. So, I'm a 23-year-old guy and I've been dating my girlfriend, who's also 23, for 3 years now. Lately, she hasn't been as affectionate, no kisses or cuddles. When I asked her about it, she mentioned that she's been dealing with some older guys at work who keep flirting with her, so I didn't think much of it at the time. Recently, she went on a girls' trip with 2 of her best friends, one of whom I've hung out with quite a bit. Before she got back, she asked me to give her a day to chill and catch up on sleep, so I figured I'd just visit my parents instead. After that, she called me, and we ended up going out to eat with my family and then watched a movie together. Later, when I was about to hop in the shower, one of her best friends messaged me asking if I had any plans. I told her I was planning to propose the following weekend since I'd have a few days off. She then said she needed to talk to me about something important and called me. During the call, she revealed that while on the trip, my girlfriend confessed to her and the other friend that she had given oral to a coworker during a break and was thinking about taking things further with him. She also mentioned she was supposed to meet him at a show later that week but was torn because she still loved me. My friend started apologizing like crazy, saying she couldn't handle the thought of me proposing while my girlfriend was doing what she was doing. They knew I had a ring and was planning to pop the question. She mentioned that my girlfriend was thinking about blocking this guy. After a few more apologies, we wrapped up the call. I stepped out of the bathroom feeling all shaky and decided to check my girlfriend's phone. She jumped up, snatched it from me, and started fiddling with it. I asked if we could talk in her room and I brought up the guy, plus another dude who was sending her nude pics. I'd seen those messages pop up. She denied everything and kept asking who spilled the beans. I wanted to see her phone, but she kept dodging the request and just kept asking who told me. When she finally handed it over, there was nothing there. Feeling too rattled to drive properly, I left the house and went to the backyard. I called my friend again to get more info and see if she had any proof. She told me my girlfriend had met one of the guys and they were chatting about a BDSM book. Then she dropped the book's name and said my girlfriend and the guy had been texting about it. My friend mentioned that when she asked my girlfriend if I ever checked her phone, my girlfriend said she wasn't worried about it because I only use her phone to send her pictures of herself, not anything inappropriate, just ones I like to look at when I'm feeling down. The friend couldn't provide any proof since they don't save their chats on Snapchat. She kept apologizing to me while crying, and eventually, we ended the call. I was totally at a loss, just staring into space and unable to think straight. She asked if we could talk, and I agreed. She came out and got into my car. As I drove us around, she explained that the conversation never happened and that she hadn't done anything wrong. I could see she had been crying. I asked for the guy's phone number since she still had it saved and she gave it to me. Then she wanted to know why I didn't believe her. While we drove, she reminded me that it was this same friend who had mentioned cheating on her boyfriend during the trip, suggesting that maybe she was trying to undermine anything my girlfriend might have said to her partner. When I brought up the book incident, she specifically named the book and insisted that the guy wasn't involved in that conversation at all. On the way home, I asked her if she could block those guys I mentioned earlier, and she agreed. Just to give you some context, we had a bit of a situation when we first started talking. She told me a guy at her job was flirting with her, and later I found out they hung out after work. She even hinted that it was somehow my fault and pointed out his house to me while I was driving one time. Even though I didn't have solid proof, I love her more than anything, so I chose to trust her. I picked up some food, took her home, and we cuddled for a bit. While we were in bed, she started blocking those guys, but I noticed the number she gave me was different from the one saved in her contacts. As she was about to delete it, I tried to swipe up to see more, but she hit delete before I could catch a glimpse. When I asked her about it, she claimed it was just a different number and that she had given me the right one. After I left and was driving home, I did a quick reverse search on the number she provided and it turned out to be a friend of hers. At first, she denied it and sent me what she said was her friend's number. But soon after, she admitted it was indeed her friend's number and explained that she gave it to me to avoid any rumors at work if I confronted the guy. Now she's texting me, saying that when she goes back to work, she'll get the guy's number for me so I can talk to him. Right now, I think I have a pretty good idea of the answer, but I'd love to hear what others think. So, yesterday morning, my girlfriend was blowing up my phone with calls. I stepped outside to chat with my parents while she kept calling. Eventually, I shot her a message saying I needed some time to myself after she mentioned coming over. After hanging out with my folks for a bit, I went back inside and started going through the comments. In all the chaos, I totally forgot that I had recorded our conversations. I found the part where she showed me messages from a guy I had asked her to block. When I asked her why she still had him on her list, she said I only told her to block him on Snapchat. After watching the videos, I grabbed my stuff and left the house. I drove over to Walmart and called my girlfriend since I told her we needed to talk. I told her that her constant calling was a red flag for me. She explained that she took my phone because I wasn't answering, she's done this with other stuff before, and that she wasn't deleting anything, but was just checking what I was looking for, since we've had issues with her phone in the past. I pointed out that lying, trying to hide the number, and deleting it before I could see it were pretty clear signs she was hiding something. Just like last time, she said she was worried about rumors starting and losing her job. I told her that her workplace is known for spreading rumors like this, and I really doubted she'd get fired. I mentioned that if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't even think twice about my job. Then she asked if that meant my mom was cheating on my dad, since she used to work there too. She claimed she was just looking out for our future. I replied that I was just her reliable boyfriend and that these other guys were giving her attention I apparently wasn't. After we wrapped up the call, I started driving home. My mom called me and I expressed how much I wanted to trust her. She said that with everything going on, it really looked like she was cheating. Deep down, I felt like she either had cheated or was about to. My mom advised me to be gentle when I talked to her, but to be honest about why. We ended the call after that. Once I pulled over, I called my girlfriend back and gently told her that with everything that's happened, I just couldn't trust her anymore and I was done. She asked if I was really breaking up with her over the phone, and I confirmed that I was. She complained about me not doing it in person, but I reiterated that I was finished. I wished her the best and hoped her next guy would treat her right and give her what I couldn't. Then she hung up on me. I called my mom back and filled her in on what happened. She told me it was going to be tough, but I should feel some relief now, which I kind of did. On the way home, we chatted, but by the time I was almost there, I completely broke down and cried hard, not even trying to hold it back. Later that night, my girlfriend texted me asking if we could talk when she got home. I said sure. We ended up going over the same stuff again, with her asking why I couldn't trust her. We talked for a bit and then she hopped in the shower, but we kept texting. During our chat, I found out that the guy she got the picture from was someone she had sent an "I'm bored" message to, but she claimed it was because I wasn't replying. When I finally did message her, she just dropped the topic. I mentioned that I had seen them snapping back and forth before. She insisted it was just casual work talk and nothing more. At first, she said they were chatting about her trip, then her job, and then a mix of both. I also discovered she had tried to invite a guy over that her aunt had set her up with, but he cancelled to hang out with friends. I told her I couldn't believe she would even consider that, and if I had done something similar, she would have left me right away. She reassured me that she and her aunt had told him she was in a relationship. They were just friends, and she asked him to join her at the zoo. I was curious about how she got the number of the guy she claimed to have hooked up with. She said she ran into him, and he asked for her number. I probed further, asking if he flirted with her before or after she got his number, and she replied it was after. I was like, so why didn't you just delete it? She shrugged and said she simply forgot about it. Honestly, I lost it on her, pointing out how wild it was that instead of waiting for me to text back, she decided to reach out to another guy who had shown interest. I told her, God forbid, I've been in situations where I couldn't text you back because it was serious, not gonna spill what I do for a living. And it's just great to know you can forget someone's number so easily. What really gets me is that you're only coming clean now that I've started calling you out on things. It's amusing how you'd rather safeguard your image and job than give me a chance to hear the truth. You kept his number from me to look out for yourself and your career. There were plenty of other jobs out there for you, ones you would have enjoyed, and the only reason you finally admitted anything was because I said I was heading to bed, which probably made you anxious or scared. She sent me this message. I was just chatting with the guy about work, nothing to grab his attention. I know this job can be dangerous, which is why I always call and text you, telling you I love you and to stay safe. I forgot I had his number since I don't usually text him, no big deal. I offered to get his number again so you could ask him directly, but you said no. It's not just about the job, it's about us too, so we're not solely relying on your income. This job pays better than a pharmacy, so I took it until I can transition into the pharmacy. The guy she claimed to have blocked was just messaging me about his relationship issues, not trying to hit on me. I blocked him. I've even offered for you to check my phone. I've done everything I can. I didn't mention anything because there was nothing to mention, I didn't flirt or do anything inappropriate. Then I started noticing her changing her story about who messaged who first and what I had said earlier about the topics shifting. She initially said she sent the first message to him, but now it was about her starting the conversation. She tried to argue that when he asked what she was doing and she replied, that meant she started it. I told her that didn't make sense. I pointed out how odd it was to respond to a "what are you doing" text from a guy who's always been flirty with her, and she insisted it wasn't that kind of question. She claims she told him to stop flirting with her months ago at work. 1. She stopped replying to my texts, so I just went to bed. Yesterday was rough and today hasn't been any better. She was really eager to chat and even said she'd come over to talk. Today, I caught up with a friend who mentioned that she reached out to the other girl from the trip, asking why she didn't just tell me the truth. Here's what she said. My girlfriend is honestly my only true friend. If I said something, I'd just lose a friend. I think me has enough info to figure things out on his own. It wasn't really our place to say anything, so I'm backing her up on this. Now it's just up to her to deal with whatever happens next. She came over and we had a talk. She ended up handing me her phone, so I went through it and messaged one of her friends from the trip. To make a long story short, that friend confirmed that my girlfriend had told them about giving oral. My girlfriend claimed she only shared that to stir up drama and help her friends bond since they weren't getting along. I also found texts where she was chatting with another friend about the earlier message, saying she didn't think my girlfriend should have done anything while she was with me. Plus, there was a message telling her to delete her iCloud. Again, she insisted it was just to help them bond on the trip. So, I've got all the proof I need. She's lied to me repeatedly, and someone was right about cheaters. I was hoping she could change my mind, but this is just too much. Cheaters never really change. My son looked nothing like me, this led me into discovering that my wife was cheating on me. 6 years ago, when my son was born, I was over the moon. I had married my best friend, we had a little one together, and life felt perfect. But as time went on, things took a turn. A couple of years later, I started to wonder if he was really my son. He didn't look like me at all. The more he grew, the more I noticed how different he appeared from what I thought my child would look like. I'm not one to jump to conclusions or be overly paranoid, so I tried not to let that bother me too much. But it was my wife's shady behavior that really got me thinking. Whenever she went out, her stories didn't add up. There were big holes in her schedule that she couldn't explain, she kept me away from her coworkers, and one of her close friends even accused her of flirting. Things got worse as her lies started piling up right after our son was born. Still, I loved her, even if it sounds crazy. Whenever her lies came to light, she would reassure me of her love. She had a way of making me think that even though she was dishonest and manipulative, she wasn't the kind of person I believed her to be. Last year, she got pregnant again, and I held on to a tiny hope that this child might actually be mine. But when her daughter arrived, it was obvious she was mixed race. I refused to sign the birth certificate, and the paternity test I demanded confirmed what I had suspected all along. Neither of them are my kids. That day, I filed for divorce and walked away from the life I thought I had. I knew it would crush my son if I left, so despite my fears, I tried my hardest to be a good dad. I loved him deeply and gave everything I had to be the father he needed. But now, when I see him, I feel this overwhelming disgust. I'm sickened by my unfaithful wife, angry at myself for ignoring my instincts, and just plain nauseated thinking that the last 6 years were a waste. People have called me a monster for leaving my son like this. Since I moved out, my ex has tried to pull me back in with all sorts of manipulation. She has him call me at strange hours, crying and begging for his dad to come home. On the day I left, she brought him into the room while I was packing, trying to guilt-trip me about the pain I was causing. Whenever he comes up in conversation, whether online or in person, I get hit with criticism and shame. Even though I'm not his biological dad, I've always been there for him. Sadly, I've realized that most people don't care about how I feel. My parents are the only ones who have my back, while my siblings just label me a terrible person for leaving a child behind. My feelings of hurt and betrayal seem to mean nothing because there's a child involved. I get that it's not his fault. I know the man he thought of as his dad just walked away. Why do I have to toughen up? Why should I act like everything's fine and bury my feelings about this whole mess? Why should I ignore my own life and emotions? I never really was the boy's dad, even though I loved him like one and still do. But if I keep pretending, I might end up resenting him and hating myself for not taking charge of my own life again. He's not my kid, and while it's not his fault, he's not my responsibility anymore. Update. Wow, this post really blew up. Guess sharing my struggles did something. Anyway, I've seen a few common questions, so let me clear those up. Her son knows why I left. I talked to him and made it clear that I'm not his dad and that his mom lied and cheated on me. I wanted him to know I'm not mad at him, none of this is his fault, and I still think he's an awesome kid. Some folks are saying I never cared for him or was just looking for a way out. It's hard to express feelings in a post like this. And it's even tougher to let my anger towards my unfaithful wife cloud the last 6 years of my life. But hey, believe what you want. I've got a lawyer and I won't have to pay child support or alimony. Lastly, for those who think I should stick around as a father figure for her son, that's just not realistic. I don't hate him, but I've been deceived and manipulated by a selfish woman who dragged her kids into her lies. He's an innocent victim of her choices, but that doesn't change the harsh reality we're dealing with. I don't really have any hard feelings towards him, it's just really sad to think about what he must be going through. But every time I see him, I can't help but remember the 6 years of lies I went through, the manipulation, and the frustration caused by someone who took advantage of me. It's tough to push aside that bitterness and try to be part of his life when everything we had was just a facade created by his mother. That's the reality I'm dealing with, and honestly, I can't keep putting myself or him through this anymore. Edit 2. I've seen a lot of people in the comments acting like they're legal experts, claiming this post is fake based on what I said earlier. I won't share my location, but I'm currently in the process of disestablishing paternity. This might not change the minds of the 90% of you who think Googling makes you a lawyer, but at least I'm trying. Edit 3. This will be my last update before I move on from this little detour I've taken. First off, I want to thank everyone for the kind words in the comments, DMs, and chats. You've really brightened my day. I wish I could reply to all of you, but I'm just so grateful. Also, I've noticed a lot of criticism about the term I used for my soon-to-be ex. I want to make it clear that I'm in one of the darkest times of my life right now, and I'm filled with a lot of anger towards the woman who turned my world upside down. Was my choice of words a bit harsh? Is the term I used disrespectful? Yeah, I can see that. I'm not going to say sorry for this. What I'm putting out there today is just the truth of my life right now. It's a raw stream of thoughts from someone who's far from perfect. I definitely don't want to promote any hate against women or push a misogynistic agenda. I think it's awful to portray women negatively. That's not what I'm about, and it's not the point of this post. Thank you for listening. For more stories, subscribe. I narrate the best stories from across the internet.